So thanks for joining today. I thought like our school or office, some of you may say we need half day break and all that. Today is Varmahalakshmi. So we will have a 45-minute session and then allow the Mahalakshmis here and as well as at Srimats to do their job. Okay, so we should not tax them too much. See, we are from the tradition where every activity was considered divine. Every activity should be considered divine, and it was rightly done so. Because only when that reverence is attached to that activity, we can bring in excellence in the real form, we can manifest that. Correct? Like when a guest comes home, the home which was absolutely unmanageable, which would be like bachelor's quarters sometimes, within 20 minutes the home gets ready. All of us have done that because that's the value we give to the guests, correct? So thinking that maybe our people said Aditi Devo Bhava, we don't know. But at the same time, what if every day, every minute, we are aware that there is divinity everywhere. So we don't need to set things only if a physical being is coming to our home. Correct? So that is the right way. And if you see Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, in the first personal discipline, he has given Saucha, which is cleanliness. So in English also you have cleanliness is next to godliness, right? So this is just a thought. We are not going to discuss the day-to-day burdens you may have, which is prohibiting you from decluttering the home. But it's a reminder to keep decluttering the things around so that the mental decluttering also can happen. So from cluttering to decluttering, we should move. Okay. So that could be one of the goals. And when we say the word Lakshmi, Lakshmi is the one who helps us to move towards our Lakshya. Lakshya means goal. So what our ancients did was give that a form and then give her certain, the dress code was given to her. Like when you visit a police facility nearby, you know they have a uniform. When you visit a navy, navy has a uniform. It's a pure white, right? When you visit fighters in the forests, you know they will have a camouflage uniform. So depending on the work performed, even the gods were given a type of uniform. Please think that way. So as per the colors, the shades of red is something which is rajas and which can propel us into action, except the traffic light red. There red is danger, you have to stop. I think somewhere some reversal has happened, people have made it a wrong thing. So red actually means action, okay, passion. So you can see Ferrari choosing the famous red. You know, red means many of them will associate with Ferrari or fashion. So red is associated with passion and action, and they have given for Lakshmi a kind of pinkish red, giving her that motherly tinge. Okay, so whatever ornaments, whatever imagery which is given in the tradition is to keep giving us some insights without our knowledge to our what you can say. Deep within the mind, there are some symbols which act as triggers. So this is the reason each of the god and goddesses would have certain weapons, some instruments, the colors of the dress. All these things are kept with this in mind. So any of you who are interested can study that. In ancient days, it used to be called Varna. Varna is color. Later, Varna became also classification, but Varna is color. And this suits even in the food we take. Ayurveda says that there is a system wherein each color has its own efficacy and it brings certain things to the eyes, not only to the system. So a huge research can be undertaken with the existing data available in the tradition. I'm just giving this thought because there are very many reasons why the system is kept the way it is. So for us today, we can ask why should I do that? So this kind of research can be done. Like when we apply to study at college abroad, or when you want to process your green card, visa applications, the kind of research you do, when you want to migrate to a particular country, you do a lot of research, right? Similar research we should do on our tradition and culture before jumping into any conclusion. So the knowledge which is absolute cannot be taken as absolute by many of us. So at whichever level we are, the tradition has kept certain inputs. So some of us understand through stories. So for us, we can go and read the Puranas, and some of us want to relate it to our day-to-day life as well. So they have given itihasas. Itihasa means this is the way they lived. So we have two itihasas, Ramayana and Mahabharata. Remember, when you want to learn through stories, you go to Puranas. When you want to learn how they live, why they say how they live, for us to understand it is possible for us to live. The characters may change, what they have born has changed. No longer kings are walking around with crown, but the people who play that roles have not changed in our lives also. And then for people who can directly relate in an intellectual level to abstract knowledge and truth, the system of Upanishads and the Vedanta is given. And for people who want to experience, experiment, and realize for themselves, the system of yoga and tantra is given. Correct? So we are a country where everything, you go for a dance. So in Bharatanatyam, the first is invocation. The divinity behind that study of knowledge or the knowledge system is invoked, and we prostrate, and then we begin. When you study Ayurveda, the Dhanvantri, Bhagavan is invoked, so that if you notice, he has some herbs and small kalasa, Amrita kalasa in his hand, signifying immortality, correct? Longevity and all that. So for everything, they have kept a source through to which they prostrate and then start the work. For people who are very evolved, they can invoke within and they can start. So it is like, no, the one size doesn't fit all. Depending on each of our intellectual ability to grasp the truth, our rich culture and tradition has given forth all these things. Okay, so this one point I would like to say today. Apart from that, each and every festival is around some season, around some medical reason also. A season is there and a medical reason is there. So if you want to understand the spiritual significance of the festivals, you can read the works by Swami Shivananda of Divine Life Society. He has written about it. You can study Swami Harshananda, who was the head of Ramakrishna Mission at Bangalore, has written extensively on it. You can study the works of David Frale and Robert Svoboda. See, there are huge science behind each and every festival we celebrate. Okay. So every year in the month of the New Year's, generally New Year is supposed to be sweet, right? But in India, the New Year starts with eating neem. correct? It is like a yearly immunization we are giving to the body. Along with that, jaggery has magnesium and other fortifying things. So if we just don't uh, uh, examine too much and first start it off experience, because we should start with the premise always that the ancestors were not idiots. The forefathers were not people who didn't have anything to do. They just wrote all this, correct? So you should think that if I am able to take a Dolo 650 to bring my fever down without researching the report on or the clinical trials of how Dolo 650 works, we just take the word of a doctor who prescribes it, just eat it. Once your fever is down, you are ready to listen to any jnana, which is knowledge. Similarly, when questions come, try to do as much as possible you can. Sit back and think why they did what they did. Then we will start understanding these things. Okay. So if you notice, there will be a lot of festivals starting from this rainy season, July to Jan 15. These are all the times we are supposed to travel less, be with family, and enjoy the heavy, hard work which we should have done from Shankranti to Ashada Purnima. That is Jan 15 to July 15. So what they have done in the cosmic calendar itself, they have named that as the day, 6 months day and 6 months night, kind of meaning. What is night? Night is the time when you are with family. Very simple. You see the birds, how they are. The moment sunrise, they are out. By sunset, they are at home. This is how the life was structured, right? So the festivals were also structured in that way. So what happens from this July, the full moon in July, 2 to 4 months, depending on whichever tradition or sampradaya we are following, it is called Chatur Masya. For the renunciates, the 2 month cycle is given. For all of us, a 4 month cycle is given. And in these 4 months, in every fortnight, certain cereals, pulses, fruits combination is given, which we have to drop and get the body accustomed to that. It's not that like today, 365 days, we eat food like feast. So the food which is supposed to be like medicine has become a poison. So these are some of the things which we can go ahead and ask our own self, where can I get the research material? Do your research. My simple thing is, you want to buy a car, how much research we are doing in Google, how many people we are talking, correct? Talking to. That same thing we should do the research with our own things. So you can understand a lot of colors, why they use the colors, which colors they use. You can understand why a particular festival is celebrated in a particular way in a particular place. Okay. So all these things we can understand. So I thought keeping this festivity mood in mind, some thought can be given regarding our the way of life we have in India, which we call Sanatana Dharma. Okay. So this was precisely the reason we are able to celebrate the festivals of each and every organized religion as if it is our own. That is the mentality of anyone who is following Sanatana Dharma. You can sit quiet back, relaxed and observe the way we celebrate every festival of every religion. For us, everything is their own way of life. So we respect everything and we celebrate. Okay. So that is what I thought I will tell you. And why did I tell you? Any guess? Rajaji?
Today, today is Adi Vellikrama, so
Oh,
it's an important festival day
yeah.
for us.
Yes.
And the other comment that I had was the Sanatana Dharma, the Chaturmasis
Yeah.
Sankalpa that I do, and so on. It's all living in the United States. I think it comes in a different part of the calendar. It has to do with the seasons, the rainfall, the roads are impassable, the rivers will be flooded.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why you don't travel during those days.
Yes.
So if you're living in a different part of the world, how does it apply? So that's the research that I think everybody needs to do and
Yes.
figure out. because the seasons would change, the climate patterns would change. From Australia, if you're living in Australia and New Zealand, this is not the rainy season.
Yeah.
So why would you have the Chaturmasa Sankalpa there? Whereas in Northern America, here where I am, it rains in December through March, and there is also snowfall, roads are blocked. Living in the mountainous regions, I don't want to travel during those times. So things to consider. Modern, you have to take the ancient logic, work through the ancient logic, and apply it to the modern locations of where we live.
So our system has clearly mentioned that this is applicable area. Bharatavarshe, Bharatakande, we have that, no? So moment you cross the time zone, you have to understand that Kala, Desha, these two are given extremely importance, and Vartama. Depending on that, it has to be tuned. It is never static. So we have to find out and do that. And it's a very important observation because even in Charaka Samhita, it is mentioned, right? The science of Ayurveda will never attain its finality. So the kind of concoctions we are trying to make when each virus comes is a combination of previous knowledge, correct? So any knowledge, any system in the ephemeral world is subject to change, subject to adaptation, and subject to understanding and implementing where we are. Suppose you are living in a desert where there is flood, there is no flood. There's nothing like it. And many of these things will be applicable in tropical countries, this particular system, wherein you have approximately equal day and nights. Understand? That's why whoever went, ultimately people came back to this part of the place to understand whatever they have to understand. So that is very important thing. Where we are, we should adapt and then do it. But the diet system, which is emphasized in the Chaturmasya time, can be followed by everyone. But the rules of travel has to be followed depending on where we live. Okay. So this is another reason why our system also has this our system has an idea called Smriti and Shruti. Like Shruti is Veda, that which is heard. Smriti is some interpretation based on the era, time and place we live. So the Smriti, even Bhagavad Gita comes under the Smriti texts. Okay, the reason is, as it is whatever is said in the Veda and Upanishads, you and I can't decipher and understand head or tail of it now. So 5,000 years before, that Smriti text, Veda Vyasa has kept it in the as Bhagavad Gita in Mahabharata. So that's a Smriti text. So this is another reason why we are a living tradition. At times, people of extraordinary wisdom and knowledge would do this work on behalf of the society. So this is just an extension to what Rajaji mentioned. So wherever we are, we can do this research and adapt it to wherever we live. Okay. So this is very simple. We are very great in adaptation. Many people in India still think violin is an Indian instrument. Violin is not an Indian instrument. Many instruments, we can play our own music in mandolin, guitar. They are not Indian instruments, but we use them as if they are born to be, we have to play them, the Carnatic and Hindustani music system, correct? But you can very rarely find an Indian instrument adapted in the West for their music. It's very difficult. There are a lot of reasons, but what I'm trying to tell you is, we as a culture and tradition, and I think as a country, there is a DNA which can easily adapt, which understands the need of adaptation, like how a river finds its course through its way to the sea or inland lake or wherever it is. We as a system, because of our adapting nature, we can do it. So why it is important to understand this adapting nature? For example, a Christmas can never change, the date can never change. Because that's a completely solar kind of work, solar calendar kind of stuff. If you see this year, Varamahalakshmi Puja has come on 31st July. Next year, it will come in some other time. Even our way of calculating time and the festivals is also dynamic. So the dynamic thing, that adapting stuff is clearly fixed. Sunday is not necessarily an holiday. For us, holy day is actually holiday. If some of us are not aware from where the word holiday comes, it comes from holy days. Holy, Holy. So for us, whichever day is holy is holiday. It's not only Sunday. So a kind of adapting to things is inbuilt in our psyche and the DNA. So let's use that to adapt to the present COVID situation also and find new ways to enrich our lives. So this is in a nutshell about why we celebrate, what we celebrate, and the importance of staying rooted to the culture and having a very inquiring scientific approach, like how Rajaji clearly mentioned that he has taken up it as a research and he's doing certain things. Okay. Any other observations like what he said? Okay. Absolute silence. Yeah.
Krishnaji, I had a question. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please go ahead.
I had a question, which is in relation to, you had mentioned about how yoga develops over time. You can even look at different creatures and how they stretch or how they behave, and then take them as yoga poses as well. But I've always had this question about both culturally what we do, about Vedas, or even about Yoga Sutras, everything that we have developed over time. To be even thinking about adding more, like even if there is a, I don't know, if there's a scientific theory, we keep researching it, and then we come up with new ideas that keep getting added on at any given time. But as far as I know, yoga, for example, has been the same. There's slight modifications that people who commercially want to sell it make happen, make do, like yoga with fast yoga, so that, or heat yoga, so that you can lose weight. All those things, they come up. But reality, somebody who is traditionally working on it, does anybody look at yoga and see, okay, for today's time, what is applicable? How can I change? Do I need to add something more in the right way?
Yes, that's what Swami Satyananda has done by introducing the Pavana Muktasana series, 34 postures. Because in the tradition, there is a system through which we diagnose. Like today we have a broken bone, we have the system of X-ray to diagnose, right? For MRI scan, that's called MRI scan. Like that, for a particular issue, there is an equipment or a method to scan. So the tradition has certain things which can scan, which can give insights on what is needed today. For example, the concept of Yoga Nidra is there from time immemorial, because we learn in the Puranas that Mahavishnu is eternally in Yoga Nidra, but we study in stories, but the process of how to enter and exit Yoga Nidra was kept secret. The 60s, Swami Satyananda said, people are moving towards a very restless life. The pressures are more even on the younger generation, and a easy method to learn things around should be also brought out from the tradition. So what he did, the technique revealed to him when he was a teenager by a lady saint in the Tantra tradition, he slightly tweaked it so that we can understand and practice, and introduced in the tradition. So the tradition has, like when you apply to a place, they have certain norms to sift through the things. So the tradition has its knack of diagnosing the era we live in, the kind of people we live in. Then he figured out the lifestyle issues are going to be there due to the sedentary lifestyle, and the quality of food we are going to take, and the pressures of the life itself. That is why he said 34 postures to work with anti-rheumatism. I mean, so that you don't get rheumatoid arthritis kind of joint issues. You work with your digestive system, and you also work towards releasing the energy block in the body. So as you rightly said, tradition is keeping an eye on what is happening, and then they will roll out the processes depending on the need. So some indications are given in the tradition for that. Okay. So I request all of you to do whatever you can at your own places on how you can walk towards your goal in life with the help of Lakshmi. She's given a form, but you don't need to believe in a form. As long as you believe there is a goal for you in life, that's enough. Ask the divine, kindly take me towards the goal. That's it. And you know Dharma, so keep your goal in line with Dharma. That's it. So just try that experiment today. And like yesterday we spoke, every day try to become or walk closer to yourself 2 to 3 minutes a day. Be with yourself. As a systematic investment plan we do in mutual fund. Over a period of time, these 2-3 minutes we invest every day will become exponentially beneficial to us. Okay. So on that note, my greetings and namaskaras to each and every one of you on this auspicious occasion. Thank you. Namaste.